Welcome to In the Community with Tiffany K.
And we're back within the community, and this week I am very excited to be able to talk with Hollis, the Director of Operations as part of the Bookmobile Fredericksburg. Now, I am a huge reader. I first have to put that out there. Avid reader, loved it since I was a kid. I'm always advocating for getting more books into schools, more books into kids' hands. And nowadays, Hollis, I have to say, you think it's more part of video games rather than reading. And I think that's a big thing with why I'm so excited about this Bookmobile. So for many people who don't know, I'm sort of new to the area still. Can you kind of just give us a little general lowdown on what the Bookmobile is, who you serve, and the mission?
Of course. Thank you, Tiffany. At this point in time, Bookmobile Fredericksburg, we are a 501c3 nonprofit here in the greater Fredericksburg area. We serve 4 counties, so Stafford, Spotsylvania, King George, Caroline County, as well as, of course, the city of Fredericksburg. And our mission is to promote literacy and a love of literature through the distribution of free books. So what we want to do is we want to get books into the hands of kids, much like, say, a library would, but the difference is that at the Bookmobile, you get to keep our books.
Okay.
We want to give children and adults alike books that they can keep, hold in their hands, and put on their shelves for the days and years to come.
I love that because, you know, I always say that if we don't have books in people's hands, history is going to repeat itself, and you lose out on a lot of culture and a lot of the traditions that we have. I am as I said, I keep saying I'm a huge advocate because I absolutely love to read nonstop. Both my co-hosts and I do. So I have to ask though, how did this all start? Because as you said, it could be seen as more of like a mobile library, except for the difference is your patrons do get to keep their books.
That's a great question. I myself am a senior at the University of Mary Washington, and so I started this program in the summer of 2021.
Oh wow!
We all lived through the pandemic.
Yes.
And so, you know, as we were, I guess, on the way out of that and really beginning to see the effects on children and adults in our community, especially students, and their access to literacy materials, like with schools being primarily virtual, I know public libraries were doing mostly curbside service, and then other sorts of options, say going to Barnes & Noble, really were not realistic for a lot of families, right? And so what I felt was most important was to provide what I viewed as essential services to this community to help offset some of these effects that we were seeing from the pandemic that were really stretching families very thin and robbing children, especially of access to these critical literacy materials. And so originally I'd recently sold a car, I had some extra money, and an ambulance came up on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh wow.
And so sight unseen, I drove up to Loudoun County and picked up this ambulance.
Every little kid's dream. I feel like every little boy wants their own.
I warn parents, you know, if their kids are into cars, you know, Matchbox cars, watch out because they'll turn into me. And you know, next thing you know, they'll be buying ambulances, antique ambulances. So, drove up to Loudoun County, picked up this ambulance, probably didn't pay a lot for it, which maybe should have been a bit of a red flag to begin with. But I spent the summer of 2021 painting, repairing, and ultimately converting it into a bookmobile. A little ragtag, but something that we could bring to the community, something that was exciting for children to interact with, something that we could carry thousands of books at any given time in, and bring that out. Initially, our model of giving books was partially built out of necessity.
Right.
You know, we're one mobile location, so what am I going to say? You know, all right, so you found your books, but you know, you got to track us down in 2 weeks to give them back.
Right.
You know, that's not realistic for anyone, and so we started giving books, both because we felt that it was important, but also out of necessity, and we were a little nervous. You know. I got to run out of books at some point, right?
I was about to say, that's going to be my question.
But I'll tell you what, keeping books on hand has been probably the easiest part of our program.
Oh, wow.
People have been so generous in donating. We're giving out thousands and thousands of books every single month. We're still getting them in faster than I can give them. We launched that summer. Our first event was at the Herkamp Park Farmers Market in downtown Fredericksburg, and things really started to grow and ultimately snowball from there. Right now, we're doing between 4 and 5 events every single week with area schools, with the food bank, and farmers markets. We work with with Germanna and the University of Mary Washington to get books to their students. We are anywhere and everywhere that we can be, trying to get our incredible selection of books into the hands of people in our community.
I have to say, more power to you to hear you're doing all that and going to school right now.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's a lot. But more power to you, because not many people can say before they've even graduated they've done something so impactful for the community.
And one day, I hope to even get paid for some of the work.
Maybe the hope is there. I'm sure it'll come in time. But you know what? The impact that you're able to make is just incredible. And I do have to ask you a little bit. So obviously you're an avid reader then. This is a big thing to you?
Yeah, I've been an avid reader for a long time.
Okay.
I will say some days I feel like a bit of a fraud because I don't read nearly enough today, but I try my best.
Hey,
right?
It's an adult thing is what I've learned. We don't got time for all of that.
Yeah.
But the fact that you are putting books in children's hands and adults' hands is amazing. And you just were mentioning how you have so many books that it's hard to get them all out there. How are you receiving these books? Are they all donated?
Yeah, so we, in the year and a half or so that we've been in operation, I've purchased one book.
Oh, wow.
We've only spent about $30 on a book. Every single book that we have and that we give is contributed from the community, and those come from a couple of different sources. We do some larger collection events. We often have schools or community organizations work to collect for us. For example, Potomac Elementary out in Dahlgren, Virginia, a couple of weeks ago did a big competition at their elementary school where each grade was competing to collect the most books for Read Across America Week to ultimately be donated to us. And they collected, I think, almost 4,500 books for us.
That's insane. Good for them.
Outside of sort of larger events like that, all of our donations come from individuals. We offer porch pickup services, which has been, I would say, has probably tripled the amount of donations that we receive, because every single Saturday we're going out into the community, saving people the time and the energy of having to load up all their boxes of books and take them somewhere that we can come straight to them to pick those up. And as a result, we have a very steady flow of books coming in.
I'd bet so, because the convenience of it is, I think, what does help you be successful with this whole situation.
Yeah, and our mission is to be as accessible as possible. I mean, that's why our books are free. That's why we are a mobile operation, to eliminate for our consumers, for the members of our community that need our services. We want to do everything in our power to make it easy for them to access our services. But for us, that also goes towards people who want to engage with us, you know, that we make it as easy as possible to volunteer with and donate to the Bookmobile, rather than, you know, ultimately making it a challenge to get involved with us.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of volunteering, that's perfect, because I was just about to ask you how anybody can donate, correct? Anybody can donate books. Do you look for specific books or genres, or is it anything?
So we take everything. Okay. Unfortunately, I have a bit of a problem saying no to any books at this point. But the primary communities that we work with are children and young adults. Okay. And so our collections of those books tend to move very quickly. So if anyone is looking to donate, I typically say that we'll take anything, but we are always in need of children and young adult books. Okay.
My whole library at home would be all of those. If I had more than one, I'd be like, here. But I'm a hoarder of books, so that wouldn't really work.
Oh, don't I get it? You should see our storage units. It's crazy.
I may have to check those out sometime. I'm just saying. But where can they donate at? Can they go online to let you know?
So there's if people are interested in donating, our website is the best place to go. We have a form that you can fill out on our website that says you're interested in donating and gives us the necessary information. Would you like me to just say our website?
Oh, go right ahead.
Our website is www.bookmobilefxbg.com.
Pretty easy to remember.
Pretty easy to remember. You can also send donation inquiries and requests to our email. That's probably the best way to reach us, and that's bookmobilefxbg@gmail.com.
Perfect. I know there's going to be probably a lot of people out there who want to be able to help. And as you said, it's accessible, it's convenient. It's not go out of your way to do something, which I think is a big plus with your organization. Now, we were talking about who you serve. Primarily, you said kids and young adults. But I was reading on your website, you also are able to help serve teachers in classrooms.
So, of course, our mission is to promote literacy and a love of literature.
Right.
But there are teachers in every school in the area or in the country that are already doing that incredible work.
Exactly.
So part of our mission also includes supporting teachers in whatever way that we can. And we're still innovating new programs and determining sort of what needs our teachers might have, the best things that we can do to support them. But right now we have a little over 3,000 books that are in full classroom sets that we allow teachers to reserve. So if you need 50 copies of Moby Dick, for example, for your classroom, you can reserve those through us and have them for a month or two.
Okay.
In your classroom. And those collections are also available for, homeschool programs, for people doing book clubs. I know many schools probably have some of these books that we have on hand already, but in the event that they don't, or that they need a few more, we're trying to make that as easy as possible for the teachers. And
that's amazing, because you hear a lot of times teachers go out of their way to pay for some of these things, whether it's classroom supplies or books. And so being able to take that weight off of them is such a unique way to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have so many different outlets, I was also noticing, besides the teacher program. And so many different ways people can volunteer, not just giving books. Can we talk a little bit about those?
Sure. So we try to have a lot of different volunteer opportunities. Currently, we have 3 or 4 that anyone in the community can do. I would say our most popular way to volunteer, people often come to us. We have donation sorting events.
Okay.
I already told you we're getting all of these donations in every single week. And so we bring students and people from the community out to our storage facilities, and they can help us sort books into our organization system. We're not doing anything like the Dewey Decimal System. It's pretty straightforward.
I was gonna say I don't know if I could do that if that was involved. But
pretty general categories. But then we also have volunteers that can come out to our events. We try an event or two every single week. We open up to volunteers, so you can come out and help us at a stop with the Food Bank Mobile Pantry. We do a couple of those every single month. Farmers markets are a great place to come and hang out and distribute books with us, and also events that we do at schools or at Germanna or the University of Mary Washington. We're working on developing a couple of other programs as well. Notably, we're working on building storytelling programs.
I was noticing that on your website.
So it's something that has been in the works for a little while, and we're still working out some of the kinks of it. But our goal, hopefully soon, is to send volunteers out into the community to schools, after-school programs, Head Start programs, things like that, and have them read to students in the community. A really essential part of literacy is that storytelling, that having books read to you. And so many students, parents are busy, or perhaps there's a language barrier. And so for us, it's really important to try and offer services like that to improve students' literacy through that kind of oral medium. And
it's funny you bring that up, because it just always reminds me, growing up for me, as you said, parents are way busier nowadays. But I know growing up, every single night, my mom or dad sat down and read a couple pages of a book with me. And then it became how I started learning to reading back to them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was me too. That's why I am where I am today.
Exactly. So. And it's that moment that not only you're able to teach your child, but also have that bonding experience. So I love the fact that you're bringing in a reading program where it's more than just, let me sit here and read to you, but let me interact and teach you as well.
Yeah.
I love all the programs that you're doing with the Bookmobile, and it kind of is cool because it's beyond just a Bookmobile service. You're beyond just here's the books. You're wanting to teach it and educate about literacy, and also get the entire community involved, which I think is such an incredible way to keep not only a community involved, but to keep history alive, to keep creativity alive within our community. And I have to know, what's your social media handles? I got to go there first because people need to know where they need to go. Because, you know, website, obviously, we got out there, but social media is where it's at.
Of course. So right now, we are mainly active on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
You can find us on Instagram at bookmobile.fxbg.
Okay.
And on Facebook, it's just at Bookmobile FXBG. When in doubt, Bookmobile FXBG is the way to find us on whether it's our website, our email, or any of our social media platforms.
That's awesome. You know, that's how we all keep up to date with it. I followed you earlier this morning, so I was like, I got to put it out there for sure. You've had, as you said, it's been a year and a half for this, which is an insane experience to think that you're giving away thousands of books a month. What are some of the most memorable things of the past year and a half? Because I know you're, as the creator and going through college at the same time and everything, there's got to be something that's just touched you.
Yeah, so every week comes with its own, you know, successes and failures. But there's been a couple of things we try to get very creative with how we market, how we interact with the community, both as a growing brand, you know, trying to make a name for ourselves and develop our presence, but also trying to expand on traditional nonprofit marketing strategies and outreach models. So I would say, if there's any event that I've really felt proud of, in the summer we launched a secondary bookmobile. So we have the ambulance, and then we launched, it was just a minivan.
Right.
And we had, you know, a community naming contest for that. So it's called the Litmobile.
Oh, I love that.
But in order to sort of soft launch the Litmobile to the community, we had a couple of events where we brought it both on to Mary Washington campus, and then we also did an event in downtown Fredericksburg where you could come and paint our van. So we had students come in, handprint, you know, finger paint all over, and over a 2-day period, we had this really beautiful, of course, all washable, paint, you know, portrait on our minivan that was created by the community.
Wow.
People had a lot of fun with that, and that was an event that we were really proud of. In terms of memorable moments of you know, I'd say more mission aligned.
Yes.
There have been a couple of times, especially over the past month or so, where we've done individual events that have kind of resonated with me and reminded me why I do what I do. You know, it's so easy. I'm sure you understand that when you do something every day, sometimes you forget why you're there, or you get so bogged down in the technical aspects. I get tired sometimes.
Oh yeah, you get a burnout aspect a little bit.
And so there are days that really remind me why I do this. And a couple of weeks ago, we did a single day. We worked with both of Stafford County's Head Start programs. So at North Star Early Childhood Education Center and Rising Star Early Childhood Education Center. And we did both of those programs in one day. And so every child in Stafford County's Head Start program received a book from us that day. We worked with over 600 kids, and being able to put that on paper and say, in a single day, this is the impact that we had on all youth in need at this age, all children in need at this age, in an entire county was really incredible to process. That we'd built an organization that was capable of having that kind of impact,
and also within just a year and a half is insane, and speaks to volumes of how much our children are in need of these books.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier the concern about video games, right? And that was, you know, an initial motivating factor going in, but I was initially surprised that when given the option, you know, no one's forgotten about books. No one has sort of said, I don't want to read anymore. Especially at that young age, it's just a matter of having books available to interact with, and then all of that love that you might have been familiar with as a kid or myself, all of that comes back.
And honestly, I can just imagine you giving a book to a kid and their face being so excited.
Yeah.
It's the book they've wanted to read or something, or their family couldn't get a hold of it, as you said.
Yeah, I've heard some really wonderful stories from kids just saying, this is, my family just immigrated,
wow.
to Fredericksburg, and this is the first book I've ever gotten to keep.
Oh, wow.
and
That's a powerful
we
moment.
provide that, which is just really special.
Definitely, in my opinion, doing God's work. So that's how I see it as. Now, you told me about everything you have done, so let's talk about the future. Where would you like to see the future of this going? What are you working on now? How can the community help?
So we're in a bit of a transition period.
Okay.
My staff, including myself, is approaching graduation.
Yes.
So that means that...
Which, by the way, congratulations.
Thank you. That means that ultimately we're having to transition into some paid positions and envision a little bit what the future of the Bookmobile might look like. And of course, none of us are going away, but our time commitment is changing a little bit.
Of course.
And so right now we kind of have three primary goals to accomplish in the next year and a half. That for us are going to make this program a staple in the community for years to come. That includes, we're working on developing and transitioning into a new vehicle. Our ambulance is old. It's getting fixed right now, but it's from 1989. So you can imagine that any repairs we do are not gonna keep it on the road forever.
Correct.
And so right now we're working on getting something a little bit more permanent, something that we can rely on to carry us years in the future. So a new vehicle's in our future, hopefully. We're also looking at building some funding to begin hiring some part-time staff. The bulk of our school programming happens during the work week, happens while children are at school. We can't rightly go to the schools on the weekend.
Right. You're not going to find as many children there.
Exactly. And so we're going to be looking sometime in the future to hire some part-time positions to help us run events during the week.
Wow.
So if that's something that anyone is interested in, looking for, a couple of extra bucks for some Tuesday through Thursday kind of work, hopefully we're going to have those opportunities coming up. And then lastly, I told you earlier, we're a mobile operation.
Correct.
We're looking for a permanent home, not a place for us to, set up shop as a walk-in library, but we're looking for a place where we can consolidate all of our resources, where we can have some degree of walk-in service, where we can hold meetings, where we can have all of our books and vehicles parked and located in the same spot. Because early on, one of the benefits of a mobile operation is we didn't have to worry about paying rent at a retail or commercial space. So we're looking for a permanent home for ourselves as well. So some really big transitions are on the way, but that's sort of what we feel needs to happen to make this a really stable and self-sustaining program in the community. And then as a part of that, we're really looking to continue to grow our services. Currently, we do 4 to 5 events on our best weeks, and maybe 3 on our worst. But we're only limited by our staff availability.
Right.
We have a ton of people that want to work with us. Our schedule fills up without us taking any steps to reach out to organizations because we're being reserved in such high demand. And so if we had, the time, if we had the vehicles available, we could be doing 10, 12 events a week, I would like to think. So I'm hoping that if we're able to solidify a little bit more, then we can really begin to meet the full demand of the community rather than being limited and having to pick and choose a little bit simply because we can only be, in so many places each week. Right.
And understandably, because as you said, y'all are graduating college soon. You have different schedules, and now it's going into the workforce. It's going to be a little harder to get that all set up.
Exactly.
But once again, I would like to just point out, you've only been in business 1.5 years, which is just insane to me that there is such that need. One, there's such a need in the community. But 2, you've been able to help so many people since then.
It should be said that we're on a very normal track for any nonprofit.
Right.
That we're really looking at year 4 and year 5 as being those years that allow us to begin paying staff. And really solidify our presence in any community. And unfortunately, we're having to kind of expedite that process a little bit because of this natural transition in our staff.
Yes. Well, that's amazing. And is there any way that the community can help you guys with these big transitions?
Sure. So we, of course, I've already talked about volunteering.
Yes.
But we're always looking for funding.
Okay.
We're a nonprofit. We're fully funded by grants and by the community as a whole. So on our website, www.bookmobilefxbg.com, we have a lot of different options to donate and contribute to us financially. And I would say moving forward, that's going to be our area of greatest need. And then, as I said, we're also looking for these vehicles and this space. And so, we're also always open to having conversations with local businesses, individuals that may be interested in donating something a little bit greater to help us move into the future. So any sort of financial contribution or otherwise, we are always happy to accept.
I'm sure, especially as a nonprofit.
Yes, ma'am.
So as you said, it's bookmobilefxbg.com. And that's where you can go to not only donate, but also find out how you can get books picked up. As you said, porch picked up, volunteer at different events, maybe become a reader. All of those things is right there.
Yes, we try to make our website a one-stop shop for all of our services, for all of our volunteer opportunities, and all different ways to contribute to our organization.
Well, that's amazing. And beyond the behalf of the Fredericksburg community, I just want to say thank you so much for what you're doing.
Of course.
Because the thing is, people don't realize the difference they make until they actually go out and see what happens in the community. So it's a big thing. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Sure. I would like to mention, I can't believe I forgot to bring it up earlier, but we have another program called Fredericksburg Reads that we run.
Oh, okay.
So in line with our supporting educators, we have a program where we're actually working directly with the schools to provide a literacy challenge, we like to call it, where we're working with students. We give them both journals and free books, and we give them a challenge for a certain number of days out of a month period, to read and write for a given amount of time outside of the classroom.
Okay.
Our goals with that are to get students away from the work that they're already doing. We want to supplement teachers, all the wonderful effort the teachers are putting in. And we want to get kids to love to read and write, because school's going to be a lot harder and a lot less exciting if you don't love the work, the base level work that you have to put in.
Correct.
And so we launched this program with Fredericksburg City Schools last fall. We're looking to bring it back to them towards the end of their spring semester. And from our initial rollout, we saw some really strong results of students. We worked with over 800 students for our initial rollout. And we had a smaller portion of them actually complete the program. But of those that completed the program, we saw they reported a 15% increase in reading outside of the classroom and almost a 25% increase in writing outside of the classroom. And all of those students reported having a greater understanding of why those things are important, both in life but also in their education. So that's sort of, I suppose, another example of the work that we're doing to support our schools and support our teachers in, what is a very difficult time to teach.
Yeah, and also it's it's the idea that, I don't know about you, but I know when I was in school, it wasn't against the teachers or anything, but when you're reading and you're only reading classroom works, you almost get burned out of it in that way. You're like, I don't want to go home and read something else.
Exactly.
So giving that opportunity to do that is also a whole nother realm that you're opening at that point.
We're trying to ultimately provide external motivation that we hope can develop into internal motivation for those students.
Like I said, you're doing great work for the community. And you said that Fredericksburg Reads program can also be found at bookmobilefxbg.com.
Yes, we have a separate website for that, but that is linked through our
main website,
our services page as well.
Perfect. So. Well, thank you so much, Hollis. And thank you so much for building this for the community. That's amazing. And honestly, the only thing I can say out there is kids go read, adults go read. Take 30 minutes a day. It's definitely worth it. Thank you so much, Hollis.
Of course. Thank you.
And that'll do it for In the Community this week. If you are a nonprofit and need to bring attention to your cause or organization, please reach out through this station's website, and we'll see you next week.